When the U.S. Commerce Department dropped an emergency directive on Anthropic, it forced a global suspension of the company's most advanced models overnight. Before this intervention, the prevailing assumption in Silicon Valley was that AI would follow the same path as the early internet, a commercial market largely left to its own devices. Anthropic acted on that assumption. After finishing its internal safety protocols, the lab bypassed the government's voluntary review framework to release its model globally on its own terms. The government's response was immediate and overwhelming. By pulling the plug, Washington signaled that the time for trusting private companies to self-regulate frontier AI has come to an end. To Washington, this was not a software rollout. Federal officials viewed the move as a private entity deploying a sovereign-level asset without state oversight, an act they interpreted as a move against the authority of the government. Building superintelligence has become a political act. Private enterprises can no longer create tools with such significant national security implications while remaining separate from the reality of state power. Washington is now fully alert to the geopolitical weight of these models. For the industry, this means bracing for an environment defined by friction, national security mandates, and risk-averse regulation. Current policy is driven by the fact that frontier models are dual-use technologies. A single jailbreak can instantly turn a commercial tool into an instrument for autonomous cyber warfare or biochemical design. There is also the fear of adversarial distillation. By querying an American model millions of times, a foreign entity can reverse engineer its capabilities to train their own domestic models at a fraction of the cost. Early containment strategies focused strictly on the hardware. The goal was to choke off the supply of advanced semiconductors, like these NVIDIA GPUs, to prevent them from reaching specific foreign entities. But adversaries found a path of least resistance through the cloud loophole. Instead of buying physical chips, they rented computing power from U.S. servers. Washington treats remote cloud access like shipping physical hardware. New frameworks mandate providers verify every customer, severing these digital bypasses. Under this doctrine, the state asserts that control over advanced compute must rest with the constitutional chain of command, rather than corporate boards. This security-first approach is now radically altering exactly how these top AI labs manage their own internal engineers. The deemed export rule drives this change. Sharing controlled code with a foreign national inside the U.S. is legally an export. The impact is immediate. World-class foreign researchers are siloed and blocked from architectures they helped build until they secure federal licenses. For labs, treating visa attestations as a routine checklist now carries the risk of criminal penalties. If a company provides a foreign worker access to restricted model weights without a license, they risk losing their federal export privileges entirely. By classifying AI research as a restricted weapon, the U.S. has introduced massive friction into the international talent pipeline that originally built Silicon Valley. The global reaction to the Anthropic shutdown directive was almost instantaneous. This network diagram illustrates why foreign enterprises view reliance on centralized American APIs as a liability. A single dispute could cause the U.S. to pull the plug without warning. To protect operations, international companies are shifting to host open-source models on their own internal servers. This shift has transformed open-source AI from a technical preference into a mandatory strategy for corporate survival worldwide. This fear of dependency is also driving foreign governments to treat AI like energy or food security. Nations across Europe and Asia are now funding indigenous open-source projects. Their goal is to build models that are transparent and, crucially, immune to unilateral American intervention. At the same time, the human capital is shifting. Researchers who face visa hurdles or legal lockouts in California are increasingly moving to international hubs, where their passports are not a legal liability to their work. This migration is narrowing the gap. Exiled experts are now accelerating the capabilities of decentralized open-source projects that operate outside of U.S. jurisdiction. By attempting to wall off frontier American AI, Washington shifted the global landscape. They have inadvertently incentivized a world that no longer relies on Silicon Valley's infrastructure, creating the very open-source competition they intended to contain.